What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Bitcoin is continuing to consolidate sideways. You could even say potentially that this is a bit of a flag right here forming off of this pole. But if we have a look at what's really happening, Bitcoin is still ultimately on the grander scheme, putting in higher highs and higher lows, arguably even starting to put in a bit of a parabolic curve right here, right? Now, I want to talk about why Bitcoin is probably going to shock a lot of people. There are so many people that are still convinced that we're going to have a recession, that Bitcoin is just going to crash with the stocks, and a lot of people are still waiting to buy lower. Some people are even talking about selling so that they can buy at these lower prices. Now, Bitcoin could potentially go higher than most people even think. I'm going to go over why. For the past 2 days, we've been talking about the situation in Hong Kong, but there are other reasons as well, and there is a possible scenario that most people are not expecting and would actually shock both the bulls and the bears as well. Something else to mention is the fact that Coinbase just launched their own layer 2 network, and get this, it does not involve a token. There is no token on the platform. So it's interesting to see how we've had this potential coordinated attack on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Then we have Coinbase partnering with IEX. Then we have them making their own layer 2, which doesn't have a token. And I do wonder if this could spell some disaster potentially for altcoins in the future. Now, it's just a theory, but we're going to talk about all that today. If that sounds good to you, definitely stick around to the end of this video. There is so much content to go over today. Like and subscribe, you know the drill, but let's hop in, let's have a look. So ultimately, guys, we are still putting in a higher high and higher low structure. You could say that it's kind of a bit of a parallel channel. It's starting to look a little bit like a ascending, broadening wedge, but nevertheless, coming over here, there is still that possibility, of course, that we do come down and fill that CME futures gap. But as of right now, you could see that we've actually flipped this horizontal, well, it's a diagonal actually, this diagonal level, right, which was acting as resistance, into support right here. So Bitcoin has not only flipped this, but we are continuing to put in higher highs and higher lows. Now, yes, we did hit this level. We have had a little bit of resistance, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did come down and retest this level, right? Bitcoin could definitely come back down to around that $22,800 level. But there are so many people who are expecting the price of Bitcoin to go to these crazy low levels, right? Some people are still waiting to buy Bitcoin at $10,000. This is why it might not happen. And first of all, just to point out, we do have this major falling wedge pattern, which we talked about for months and months and months on this channel. And if you look at this target, you take that, the breakout brings us to about $57,000. Now, is Bitcoin actually going to get that high? Well, if we have a look right here, short term, we are in a little bit of turmoil, right? We are seeing a liquidation up here, a few X's on reversal, and on the daily, it does look like we could potentially continue downwards a little bit more. I mean, you could kind of say on the 4-hour, we're looking for a slight pop, but, you know, going back to the higher time frames, I think we may just curl over a little bit before having the next big move. And guys, if you do want to learn how to trade, number 1, get subscribed to the channel. Number 2, check out the tutorial popping up above. And if you do want to trade on a decentralized exchange, go check out Apex Pro. It is incredible, and the fees are almost non-existent. We did a trade the other day. It was, no, we did 2 trades, and I think we paid 60 cents in fees. Absolutely incredible. If you guys want those extra bonuses, $56,000, check out the link below in the description. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious right here. As you guys can see, we are basically just bouncing around here. This is actually more of a parallel channel compared to the first chart. This is on BitGet, though, so obviously every chart's a little different depending on where you look. BitGet is really good, too, if you guys want to trade over there. They have a lot of altcoin options, but it is centralized. I do recommend them as well. I do still use BitGet actually for some altcoins, but you can see right here, we flip this level as support, right? Resistance flips support, and now we are in this upward channel. So, of course, you know, there's a possibility that we come down here, find support again, but I do believe that on the next breakout, we're probably going to break and go above the $25,000 level that we had. And what's very, very, very interesting, guys, is we're starting to see a bit of a decoupling, right? You can actually see right here, look at this weekly dollar chart. Look at the DXY. bouncing right here. And at the same time, you're having stocks fall to the bottom of this broadening wedge. And yet Bitcoin is just continuing sideways. It looks like Bitcoin is potentially decoupling. Now, obviously, there is that chance, of course, that we could come down here and keep bouncing around into this apex, which would bring us probably to July. That's a possibility. That would catch both the bulls and the bears off sides. But I want to talk about an analyst, Chris Berniski, who actually pretty accurately predicted the bottom. And Trade But Why says, I remember thinking it sounded a little crazy when Chris was talking on the Unchained podcast with Kobe about how he was expecting a full-blown euphoria sometime in 2023. And it's only February. Now, he did go on to say that he expects a reversal on some major event this year, not sure when, but while this is fun, it will quickly become too much too fast, in my opinion. More needs to be built, meaning the structure. Now, he says, I agree. My best guess based on tea leaves higher than most expect, maybe straight to the $45,000 level. People think there's no stopping and then get blinded, then a massively disappointing second half of 2023, closing modestly green. He goes on to say, a little less volatile than the 2019 repeat, but in rough strokes, yes, I think we will get that. Now, if you guys remember, this is what we've been talking about, okay? We were talking about this sort of intra-bull rally, right? Where you don't, like for example, right here, right? We had this crazy rally in 2017. We had the massive 85% pullback, but then we only got up to 14K. We never got back to that 20K level, and then we dwindled back down again, only to set up for the next major run. I think we could definitely see something like that, guys. I think we could see something, where we come up, we retest the bottom of this level right here, everybody gets excited, Bitcoin's back around 30 or even 35,000, something like that, maybe up to these levels here, 40, and then we come back down like we did here, right? Little mini rally, come back down, and then set up for the big rally, right? Another person who also agrees on that is Mike Novogratz, the CEO of Galaxy Digital. He says that this is going to be driven by the fear of missing out among investors and the general excitement around Bitcoin. He says, when I look at the price, when I look at the excitement of the customers calling, the FOMO building up, it would not surprise me if we were at $30,000 by the end of the quarter, meaning quite soon, right? By the end of next month, essentially. He says, but what makes me skeptical is Chairman Powell. He said he is doing what he will do, and I don't see that the Fed will be pivoting or cutting anytime soon. But remember, like we spoke about for the past 2 days, you're noticing that Hong Kong is going to start opening up to the institutional investors. Now, they're not quite allowing retail just yet, but they're saying that they're open to the possibility. So if we have those billions of dollars and we also have China opening up the borders and actually easing while we're tightening over here, that's going to be a liquidity injection. And that has nothing to do with the US stocks, right? That's completely related to just risk assets and liquidity injection. And as you can see right here in this blue zone, that would bring Bitcoin price potentially up right here to the bottom of this area, right? Where we had this support, right? Flipped resistance, right? But I think it would be max pain, like Chamath Palihapitiya said, to maybe actually come up and put in something like this, right? Max pain would be Bitcoin going up to around $40,000 while everyone is waiting to buy at 10,000. And then we do have that correction, right? Like we did back in 2019 where we go up to 14 and then come back down again. That would catch everyone off sides. But here's what's going on. Here's the big news. So Coinbase has announced the launch of BASE, an Ethereum Layer 2 network. The company claimed this new network will offer a low-cost, secure, and developer-friendly environment for building decentralized apps on the blockchain. According to Coinbase, BASE is designed to be a bridge for users into the crypto economy, offering access to other Layer 1 ecosystems like Solana, for example, and making it interoperable with other chains. It will also provide access to Coinbase's products, users, and tools, as well as easy fiat on-ramps and powerful acquisition tools. The company plans to progressively decentralize the chain over time and has no plan to issue a token. They said, our goal with BASE is to launch a platform that makes it really easy for developers to build apps that users actually want to use. and then plug that into the Coinbase product suite to make it easier for users. These networks don't need tokens to be successful. Adding that in some cases, native tokens may obscure whether the networks are finding a product market fit with customers, users, and developers alike. So I do wonder. Now, there's been a lot of kind of, I guess you could say, conspiracies about what's been happening, with these bad actors, right? For example, just to point out, Sam Bankman-Fried, you had Jesse Powell saying, we were warning these guys. We were telling them that these people were doing nefarious things, that they were doing illegal things, and they just turned, the other way. But maybe they wanted Sam to do this. They wanted the FTX collapse, right? That was so that they could gain more power. So I wonder, now that we're seeing Coinbase partner with IEX, right? And now they're launching Base, which has no token. Could that mean that a lot of these different, cryptos are going to be in trouble, right? When, maybe the SEC or these guys come out and say, well, there's no reason for a token. Look at what Base is doing, right? It's just a thought. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't think anyone's ever going to stop gambling on the altcoins. I think the altcoins are way too fun. But it does make me wonder, and it does make me think if it could be a little bit coordinated, But it's interesting because they are building this on the open source OP stack, which is a blueprint, a blockchain layer 2 network. Optimism, you guys might be familiar with that, which actually right here, it is starting to pull back, but look at this crazy candle. As soon as the announcement came out, look at this candle. And you can trade Optimism over on BitGet, by the way. If you guys want to check out BitGet, I do recommend. There's a $8,000 bonus, I believe, for BitGet below if you guys are interested. But yeah, look at this excitement that came out. Everybody was pumping it. The token was up, it was up like 16% at one point. You can see right here. So very interesting. And, Charles Hoskinson actually had something to say about Jesse Powell, his theory about regulators and bad guys. And he said, honestly, it's starting to feel like this is accurate. Fair notice was given for many of the firms that exploded months or sometimes years prior to the events. And he also says this is why people want to blacklist the entire United States. Illinois Senate bill would drive out blockchain node operators, miners, and validators, waste judicial resources, and confuse existing law in a quixotic attempt to protect Illinois consumers. Let's examine the mess in a thread. He goes on. But yeah, like I said, it's not going to work because at the end of the day, the Bitcoin, and all of these products will survive. And, like I said, I stay here and I fight for the U.S. to do the right thing. I want the U.S. to do the right thing. I don't want to up and move to another country. I've said that many times. If I have to, if I have no choice. But, at the same time, if the U.S. does continue to stifle innovation, unfortunately, these companies will set up shop in other places. These blockchain businesses, they will leave. They will go offshore to places that are more welcoming, and it will end up ultimately leaving the US behind, right? So I don't think it's smart to, keep coming down on it. But, on the flip side, just ending on some good news, while we have all that negativity, we do have a partnership between Web3 payments protocol Immersive and Mastercard, which will allow users to make payments on digital, physical, and in metaverse worlds. Once the transaction is successful on the user's end, they're going to be using USDC, which some people are saying could be the potential CBDC of the future. I don't know if that'll be the case, but ultimately it's all done using USDC, and then it's settled on fiat on the other side of the network. So very interesting, guys. Let me know what you think about this. I do think that people could be in for a shock, and, I'm not trying to be overly positive, but I still, people have difficulty getting out of that narrative, right? When Bitcoin was going to go to 100K, everybody was euphoric and nothing could stop Bitcoin. Bitcoin could never fail. It could never pull back. And now people have just been burned for so long, for a year and a half, just watching prices do nothing but fall and hearing nothing but negativity about all this terrible stuff that's happening with the economy and the Fed and recession and the global and, possible war and stuff like that. I think the max pain would actually be if crypto kept going up at least for the next few months. So let me know what you guys think below in the comments. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. Make sure you check out the Apex DEX tutorial if you do want to trade on a decentralized exchange without having to give away your private information and you do want to pay ridiculously low fees. I will have that popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.